Welcome to Spectrum TV. It's wonderful to have you here. Season 2, and we're talking about relationships and resilience. And it's so exciting to have you here and to be able to watch, whether you're watching the live show or whether you're watching the recording. Thank you for choosing to learn more and be more. And particularly this topic is around well-being, relationships, and understanding your genes and how do they actually, and not the ones you wear, but your genes inside you, and how do they actually change you? How do they help you? So we're going to be talking about that today. And, you know, in these uncertain times, it's really important that we can be the best that we can be, particularly as teachers, because we have to front everybody else who's highly stressed and feeling uncertain. So one of my favorite quotes that I have is, if you don't take time for your wellness, you'll have to be forced to take time for illness. And I think that is so, so true of us in teaching, because often we don't look after ourselves as well as we could. So before I introduce my guest, I do want to ask you, if you like our new background, our sparkly Spectrum background, please let us know you're here by typing in the chat, by letting us know who you are, where you're beaming in from. That would be great. And let us know if you love our sparkles, because, of course, if you've been around a long time and know Karen, you'll know that I definitely have loved sparkles for a very, very long time. And some people will remember every piece of mail that used to go out of the Spectrum office always had glitter in it. So I'd like to introduce the wonderful Rachel Marks. Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
We've got a bit of a lag going here and we've tried to fix it, so hopefully it'll just be okay. But Rachel is a NLP practitioner. She's a personal trainer. She is I said NLP practitioner. She's an amazing, amazing lady, but I'll let her tell us a little bit more about her. Rachel, tell us about you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for having me on here, Karen. It's a real pleasure. So Karen and I are actually friends, and we met when, I hope she doesn't mind me saying, she used to be my client years ago, and she was the only one, I think she's very proud of it, that broke my rule of not having friendships with clients, because I was trying to keep my work and my personal life very, very separate. But she had an effect on me, so I broke that rule with her, and happy to have known her for so long.
And you didn't Rachel, you didn't say that we met online, because I just searched personal trainer and there you were. So yeah, interesting relationship start, and yes, been friends for many years.
So I've been a personal trainer for around 18 years. Well, that shows my age. And there's been two major events that have probably shaped my life in regards to A, changing professions, and B, changing the direction in which I wanted to go. So the first time was, I used to be an air hostess back in the UK for many years. And I developed a number of health problems, and it made me realize I needed to quit flying, that it wasn't the best choice for me. And I joined a gym, met a very influential Australian, actually, and this was back in the UK, a personal trainer who gave me some exercises and was blown away by what I achieved and the effect on my health. And he said to me that he thought that I had a bit of a knack for that and I should do this. And I kind of laughed, because I didn't particularly come from a sporty background. I hated exercise as a kid, so not the typical personal trainer. But anyway, I followed his advice, became a personal trainer, and had a pretty successful career. But there were some things missing. I wanted to know it all, and I sort of started in my 30s, which was considerably late for most personal trainers. Most of them will start in their 20s. But I wanted to learn. I wanted to know more. And one of the first courses I did was an NLP course, which is neuro-linguistics programming. And the reason for that was I was asking an acquaintance of mine some advice about which courses I should do. And I was thinking about doing more on nutrition. And he said, no, Rachel, you don't need to know any more about nutrition. But what you do need is NLP. And when he talked about it, it just sounded amazing. And very basically, if I see clients, for instance, overweight because they're eating too much chocolate, they have a chocolate addiction, it's not really that helpful to just put them through exercise every day. You've got to start with the mind, because everything starts with the mind. So that was a very, very powerful learning for me when I passed that course, and I continued to use that with my clients. And in the last sort of 5-6 years, I've realized there's still something missing. Not all clients got the same results, despite me tailoring programs to suit them and their lifestyle, exactly what they needed. People are still not getting the results that you'd expect. And I came across an amazing speaker at a conference a few years ago and learnt all about personalized health, and did my course 2 years ago, and that's completely revolutionized the way I do my work with my clients. And it's had such an amazing impact on my life personally as well, because I had some more health problems later in my life, which I've now completely overcome by changing some key parameters that really, really had an effect for me personally. And people will tell you all the time that they tried this, is really good for them, or I've tried this and this really works. And you don't need to just take my word for it. This has worked for many, many, many people. So really understanding what your unique body is, and each of us are completely different, and each of us need a completely different thing in order to thrive and be well and happy. And so that's my passion now. So that was a very long answer to your question, Karen.
That's great. And do you know what I think is part of watching you over the last many years grow and develop in your work is because neuroscience and body science and understanding our genes, all of that science is still just fledgling as well. So it sort of makes sense that, we didn't know this stuff 20 years ago. We didn't even know it 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. And I've just been reading this book by Daniel Amen called Change Your Brain, Change Your Body. And this is stunning, and also following Greg Wells. And they're both talking about things like they now know that Alzheimer's disease, for instance, by the time you start getting symptoms, the causal effect of that happened 30 years prior. So that's scary and exciting to know all at the same time. We have to be able to look after ourselves now, even when we're well, so that we can be the best we can be later. And so this is all such a new science and such new information. So what are some of those myths about being healthy and fit that we now know probably aren't good for us? And therefore, what are some of the factors that will influence that well-being?
So yeah, that's right. People tend to think of well-being as just about exercise. That if I exercise every day and I eat lots of vegetables, then I'll be really, really healthy. Now that's correct to a small extent, but well-being is so much more than that, as you know very well. It's about happiness, because even if you're very fit, if you're not happy, then you don't have great well-being. So happiness is a big part of it. And being fit won't necessarily make you happy. And even more so, being slimmer or achieving a certain weight on a scale won't necessarily make you happy, but people think that will. So it's so much more. It's also how much sleep you get, who you socialize with, what your career is like. Is it a career that's actually suitable for you? Or is your career causing you stress? And even things like what time you go to bed and get up, what time you have your meals, when you exercise, how you use your mind. All of these things have a really big impact on our very general well-being. And it's really important, I can't say this enough, that one size does not fit all in regards to wellness. We all need very different things. Everybody on the planet is completely unique.
That's absolutely true. So one of the things I have been learning through these books, and I've just been listening to the audio book Spark, which is what all the big gurus are talking about, the neuroscience. In fact, I've got it up here on my phone. I wanted to make sure I gave it. The Revolutionary New Science of Exercise and the Brain by John J. Ratey. R-A-T-E-Y, Ratey. And so this whole biogenetics thing fascinates me, this whole biohacking, that we can do things to extend our life. Now, many people go, I don't want to live to be 120. And I'm like, I want to live to be 120. I want to biohack because I've got things to do on this planet. I've got a difference to make. I've got people to impact. I've got things to, places to go. And if I can live with incredible energy and vitality into my hundreds, I don't want to be that shriveled up, 100-year-old that we think of now, but they absolutely talk about there are certain things we can do to biohack. So how does understanding our genes really help build these better relationships that we want with others and our well-being?
So my field of work, what I trained in, is personalized health and the use of epigenetics. Most people have heard of genetics, but not everyone knows what epigenetics means. Epi literally means what's happening above or around our genes. And that's what the game changer is, because our DNA is fixed, but our genes actually turn on or off according to what's happening in our environment. So actually, when people say, well, I was born to parents with health conditions, that means that, that's what I'm going to get. But it's not true. You actually have, which is really amazing news, control over what you can do in regards to turning on your good genes and turning off your bad ones. So it's pretty spectacular. And, our genes are turning on and off all the time according to what's happening in our environment. So this science is 15 layers of it have built this really sophisticated program. So it's pretty incredible. It's chronobiology, neuroscience, anthropometry, embryology. And basically we know if we measure the outside of the bodies as completely non-invasive, we can actually tell from the structure of the body what's going on inside, but we can also tell what our dominant hormones are. And that leads to different behaviors in different people.
Can you give us an example of that, Rachel?
So we have different body structures. So there's different health types. I'm what we call an activator, which is a mesomorph structure. So I'm really great in the mornings. I can leap out of bed at the sound of the alarm, and I have really high adrenaline, which means that I need to move a lot. And if I don't move, I get super fidgety. But because of those things and because of some of the hormones I have, I also have sometimes the ability to speak before I think and the need to vent and to let people know what I think. But thankfully now I've become a bit better at thinking before I speak. But then there's other types of people that will sit on the other part. We have a 360-degree wheel. And so other people will sit on completely opposite ends. So I'm going to give my father as an example, and he's going to laugh when he gets to watch this. He's what you call a diplomat type, and he's very much a night owl. And I remember many times where I've been away with him on holiday and I want to get up early and get going, but he needs to just take his time in the morning, and that's what the diplomats need. They need more pleasure. They are more scared of pain than some of the other health types, and they need to have their time and space and make time to make decisions. So when we're talking about relationships, when you get two people like that, complete different ends of the spectrum, that's when conflict happens. So it can be really interesting trying to see something from someone else's lens. So when you view things from someone else's lens, and these teachings and this understanding of personalized health has allowed me to do that, it helps you improve your relationships with people. So even things like during lockdown, some people would have actually thrived if they lived on their own and had to work from home and had to do that for 6 weeks. Some people would have done really, really well with that, being away from people and too much noise. But for some other people, the people with the slightly bigger body structures, what we call guardians, they're the nurturers, they're the people that need family and they need to look after people. They would actually struggle, and it would actually be really, really stressful for them to be left all on their own. So again, when you have relationships with two people, if they don't understand each other's needs, it can cause a lot of conflict. So just trying to see things from someone else's viewpoint really, really helps in building relationships.
Absolutely. So, I know that when I did the profile and looked at, what are the things I need? I need that slower start to the morning and then ramp myself up and have my biggest meal at lunchtime and slightly later. And I've been doing that for a few weeks now, and I reckon it's made a huge difference to my energy levels, my focus, and just my health and well-being. So it's definitely something that, as I learn more about the PH 360 model, how I can use some of those insights for me and for my family as I look at them. So, Rachel, I know that Tony Robbins, the guru, talks about the importance of the 6 human needs. And I know this is something that you are really into too. So, what are the 6 human needs and how do they help us?
So I love the 6 human needs. I mean, Tony Robbins is a complete genius, as you probably agree as well. And so he says that our behavior is very much shaped by which of our needs we're meeting or not meeting. So we all have these 6 human needs. And the first one of these needs is something called certainty. So certainty that you're going to have some money coming in this month so that you can pay your mortgage, that you're going to have enough money to feed yourself, that your partner's going to come home from work and give you a hug. So certainty that the sun's going to come up tomorrow morning. So certainty is really, really important. But certainty can also be used in a negative way, like people that show lots of anger. That's all they know, and that's certainty in a very negative way. So that's the first of the human needs, and these are also the needs of what we call the personality. The second one is uncertainty or variety, which we were discussing just before we went on air because I had some camera issues, and I said, well, this is definitely meeting my variety and uncertainty criteria. So we all need a bit of variety in life for life to be interesting, because if we knew exactly what was going to happen every single day for the rest of our lives, life would be really, really dull. And, sometimes it's nice to get surprises, but as Tony Robbins says, but only the surprises you want. You don't want a surprise of $1,000 phone bill. That's not a good surprise. So uncertainty and variety is also about learning new skills, having change in your life, and being exposed to new stimuli. Now, the third one is a really important one called significance. Now, significance people get in lots of different ways. Some people will get it from buying a really expensive car because they want to appear significant to everyone else. Some people do it by covering themselves with tattoos or piercings. Other people's significance is by achieving the top job in their company. So feeling unique is really, really important. Now, the problem here is people need safety, and sometimes people will keep a problem because it's more worthwhile them having the problem, because they actually get a bit of significance when they have a chance to tell people about it. So it's a really good, for some people, it's very, very addictive to keep this problem because they're getting significance from it. And then the fourth need is connection and love. And connection doesn't have to be just your love relationships. It can be connections of other people. You can also be connected to nature if you go out walking, or connected to your pet. And those things everybody needs, and everybody will find a way to meet these first 4 needs, and the needs of the personality. The last 2 needs are the needs of what we call the spirit, and they're really important. And these are the ones that are going to really lead to ultimate fulfillment and happiness. And these are the 2 that people will struggle to get more. So the first one of these is growth. So continue to grow. That's in yourself by learning new things, in your business or whatever you do, learning new things, because if you're not growing, you're dying. So even in your relationships, you should be trying to find ways to grow your relationship. And the final one is contribution. So when you contribute to others, by either doing charitable work or going out and helping others, that does something really fantastic to you. And when people do this on a regular basis, it really, really gets them totally fulfilled. The important thing about the 6 human needs is the actual hierarchy that people will use, it's probably not particularly healthy to have significance as your top human need, because that can sometimes be a negative reason. But having too much certainty all the time will make life very stressful, and it might make you avoid lots of situations if you need to be certain all the time. But it's really telling about the makeup of people in how they list their 6 human needs.
As I listen to you, Rachel, I think about that. It's fascinating. My work is at Spectrum, and what I do ticks all 6 of those boxes. Which is fantastic, because I get the growth, I get the contribution, I get the significance. There's a lot of certainty, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of love and connection, and we're all about, being at the heart. And so all of those things get ticked. And what I know personally is that I have to be very careful, because when I go home, they might not be all being ticked. And so if I'm not getting significance at home, I'd rather go back to work. If I'm not getting love and connection at home, or giving love and connection, because I can't expect them to be doing it all, I have to be able to do it as well, I'd rather go back, I'll keep working. And so making sure we have a balance of these things in our work, in our professional life, and in our personal life, really important. But Rachel,
Absolutely.
We are living in these uncertain times right now, in COVID-19. What are some of the strategies that viewers might be able to use to help them in uncertainty?
And that is because our times are so uncertain. That is definitely a reason why a lot of people are feeling very uneasy at the moment, because they can't be certain about anything. I can't be certain when I'm going to see my parents or my family, or when I can travel overseas. We're not certain about when we can go out in public without worrying about washing our hands and keeping social distancing at bay. But the good news is there's always things that we can control in our environment, things that we can do in a positive way. And I would say that is what you focus on the most is what becomes your reality. So if you focus on all the things that are troubling you right now, and that the world is a terrible place, things will be magnified. So trying to focus on affirmations and gratitude, which you do incredibly well with your Facebook page, but also trying to create a bit of variety, like doing some new things, maybe exploring somewhere else in New Zealand where you haven't been before. We're all being, for those viewers that live in New Zealand, there's lots of places where we haven't been that we should go and explore, just to get a bit of variety. And you could also consider that a bit of contribution to businesses that you may use along the way. Maybe if you go to a restaurant and you always pick the same thing on the menu, which I know many people that do because they know it's a safe option, try and pick something different, learn a new skill. There's lots of things you can do, but obviously really important is to look after your health and well-being. And this is a bit controversial, but I don't think we can rely on getting a vaccine. Even today, they've said that they've had to pause some of the vaccine trials because somebody's become sick. So the vaccine's probably quite a way off. So people need to take responsibility for their own health and wellness. And it's actually not that difficult to do with the right mindset. And if you're in a positive place with your mindset, you're more likely to make better decisions about your health anyway.
Absolutely. And so immunity is a huge topic right now. And so what would you recommend people to do to be able to really strengthen their immune system?
So I just use the word support, because we've got to be careful about making the immune system too strong, because that can actually cause a whole load of different problems. That's what autoimmune diseases are. So we try and use the word support. And there's a lot of very sort of general advice out there, even given by the World Health Organization, about what we should be doing in regards to our eating. But there's, as we've said already, there's a lot more to that. So making sure we're getting enough sleep, developing a really good bedtime routine. So trying to stay away from screens before sleep, because they will disrupt our sleep cycle if we're exposed to lots of blue light. Making sure we're getting exercise. Now, this is when it gets a bit tricky, because some exercise is different types of exercise depend on what kind of body structure you are. So for some people, it's really great to exercise first thing in the morning, but for other people, it could actually be detrimental. Some people have actually been shown to become less fit by exercising at the wrong time of day, and this is something called chronobiology. And we only learn this by learning about our unique body structure. A variety of foods, but again, one man's great food can be someone else's poison. So if you take broccoli, for example, it's actually not a healthy food for everybody. So
Don't tell
the best thing you can do is to get the assessment to measure the outside of your body, so then you can find out what your unique body needs right now to actually support your immunity. But obviously, taking time out, making sure you've got good work-life balance, all of those things, minimizing stress as much as possible, things that seem obvious but people often don't do.
Rachel, I think
so it's a very
we're crossing over. I think there's a lot of common sense there, and I think some of us know what we need to be doing but aren't just doing it, and so need to really be able to practice that self-love, that ability to look after ourselves, that self-care, to be able to do that. But I know that you offer people one-on-one consultations to be able to find out what their health style is and what their profile is, to be able to help them along the way. And so maybe down in the chat after we've finished this, I'll put a link there so people, if they want to contact you, they can find out more and ask any other questions. So thank you so much. Any final words you'd like to finish with?
Just say thanks very much for having me. It's been really, really great, and I've ticked off a few boxes with my human needs. I've got a bit of significance. I've had a bit of uncertainty because some of the videos didn't work initially, but I also have certainty that I feel great after having this conversation with you, and I feel love, and I've got connection too. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. If you have enjoyed this session, tune in next week, because I'm going to be talking to Kathy Shepherd, and Kathy's going to be talking about understanding differences. So we're going to move slightly into more personality types and understanding. And Kathy actually spoke live at our Teachers Matter conference in January this year, and she was sensational. People loved what she had to say. So that'll be next week. Now, if you would like a free copy of the Teachers Matter magazine, I'm just going to put it up on the screen here. Please go to spectrumeducation.com/SpectrumTV. You can subscribe to this TV channel here so you can get updates. Oh, Rachel, we've lost you. So you can subscribe there, you can get that. And I wanted to, you're back, yay. I wanted to finish up by telling the viewers that just today, we have launched our next online summit, and it's called Parenting for Resilience, Confidence, and Independence. And so this one is for parents to be able to give them the skills. You know, I love what Maya Angelou said. She said, if you know more, you do. If you know better, you do better. And so that's really what this summit is about. It's completely free, and you will find those details again on that SpectrumEducation.com page. And I hope that you can invite parents, come along if you're a parent. The information will be just as relevant. We have 21 incredible